Okay, we're good. Do you want to do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 thing again?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's up, everyone? We're back with No Rules. I'm Mike Timmons. This is Tyler Relph. Hope everybody's staying safe within this COVID pandemic that we have going on, and hopefully things can get back to normal soon. In the last couple of days, the NBA came out with the official date for the NBA draft, and that's going to be Friday, October 16th. So as we prepare and build up for that, each week we're going to go over a player and kind of break down their strengths, weaknesses, what Tyler likes about them, and just kind of what we think they might fit in the draft in the NBA. So this week we're going to start with a DFW local, Tyrese Maxey. You know, as you know, Tyler and I are in the DFW area, so we've gotten to see Tyrese plenty of times over his high school career. He went to Kentucky, had a really good freshman year that kind of got cut short due to everything that's going on. But Tyler, the floor is yours. What do you think about Tyrese Maxey?
You know, it's like you said earlier when we were talking about him, you know, he's a gamer. You know, he shows up in big games. You know, I think he's a kid that the NCAA tournament would have helped. I think that, you know, he's a kid that could have went on one of those, like, you know, runs that we see these kids go on.
You saw what he did to Michigan State in that very first game.
Michigan State, and then he had, you know, he had a few big games against, you know, when the lights were bright. You know, I think the thing that he brings are the intangibles. He loves to play basketball. He is a leader. You know, they were talking about the 6 a.m. workouts where he would bring the guys with him. You know, there's just not a lot of, you know, 18-year-olds that do that type of stuff. And he's a very, he's a good defender. He can play, you know, off the ball, on the ball. You know, so I think versatility-wise, he's really, really good. I think, you know, he checks every box as far as off the court. He has a, you know, great family that stays out of the way. They don't, you know, they don't get involved. They don't, you know, they're not. It's not about them. They stay out of the way. They do their thing. You know, so I think as far as off the court, he checks every box.
Right.
And then the intangibles on the court, I think he checks every box. Winner, loves to play. Teammates love him. I mean, I've never heard a bad thing from any person about Tyrese Maxey. And that is kind of crazy. You know, and then on the court, I think he's a good finisher at the rim. I think his mid-range floaters, different ways he can finish, you know, I think will translate to the NBA. Consistency in the three, you know, he only shot 29% from Kentucky, which isn't very good. But he needs to be able to shoot it better off the bounce in ball screen situations. You know, he has a very low release point, which I think at times forces him, if you watch kind of his film, sometimes he's forced to move his release point higher, which affects his shooting percentage. So he has to, which I think he will, realize, you know, certain things like raising your release point, whether it's in the mid-range or, you know, in certain times, you know, you got to raise your release point to get it over guys in the NBA. So that's really the only thing I see with him as far as his skill set goes. And then I think as far as teams go.
Yeah, like where do you think that he fits? Is there a specific team? Or do you think he's kind of like a guy that has enough in his game on and off the court to where he could fit in anywhere?
See, I think he fits in anywhere. Just because I think he can be a leader, he can be a role player, he can do whatever you want him to do, and I don't know if every player will do that.
Right.
You know, if they say, Tyrese, you're coming off the bench, you're going to play 10 minutes a game as a rookie, like he'll play those 10 minutes as hard as he can, sure. And you won't hear anything from him. If he's asked to play 32 minutes, he'll do that. You know, and there's not a lot of players I don't think that can fit both those roles. And I think Tyrese can fit any role you put him in, whether he plays for the Lakers or whether he, you know, plays for the Knicks or, you know, whoever. I think he just comes in and he immediately helps the team off the court, intangible wise, and then also on the court. So I love Tyrese, and I think he's a for sure top 14 pick and maybe the first point guard taken.
Yeah, what I think I like the most about Tyrese is that, like, him and I talked about this before we went to Kentucky. I said, you're going to be a fan favorite everywhere you go. The energy, the charisma he brings, he's always smiling. That's one thing I noticed when I filmed him. He was always smiling, win or lose. And they didn't lose too often, but, like, he would laugh in a kid's face and give him 40 and just smile the whole time. That's kind of his way of his dog personality.
Mm-hmm.
And people that wouldn't notice him and don't, like, see him that often may say, oh, he doesn't have dog in him because he's just always smiling. And that's way off.
Yeah, we know he has that dog.
Because, I've seen him go for 40 and just smile and laugh the whole time. And, win or lose, he's always smiling. And I think that that energy is infectious for sure.
Yep.
And
yeah.
So, obviously, we're rooting for Tyrese being from the DFW area, but I think he's a great pick for any team in the draft. So.
Yeah, I think he can go anywhere he wants. And, the thing I love about the kid the most is the kid he is and the intangibles he brings. And I think that can't be overlooked, and I don't think NBA teams overlook that at all.
Right.
I think that's one of the biggest things they look at now is what type of kid are you?
Right.
And that's a big thing.
So YouTube, like we said, Friday, October 16th, the NBA draft. Leading up to that, we'll be breaking down different NBA draft prospects. Go ahead in the comments below, let us know who you want us to break down. Who are your favorite players in the NBA draft coming up that we can talk about. All right, so last week we had the YouTube community send us questions, whether those were about Tyler's past or just tips in basketball training. So we're going to go through those. This one from Jean-Pierre Louis. How could I learn to differentiate between all the different pick and roll reads and reacts?
I think the first thing, like, you have to watch film. You have to study the game. I think there's different, ball screen coverages are huge as far as how do teams play ball screens, and you're going to find different ways as a league. You start high school, college, and then pro. Example, drop coverage or zone coverage in the NBA is huge. Icing screens, etc. You don't see that a whole lot in, like, high school. One, because the coaches aren't as good; they don't have that much time. So you're going to see, different reads. I'd say the biggest thing is watch film on NBA, watch film on college. You got to see where the tag is coming from, and what I mean by that is the ball screen and the big rolling. Who's the tagger? Is it the strong side corner that's on a shake coming up? Is it double side on the weak side where you got an early tag where you're trying to hit the slot? There's just so many things that you can do with it, but like we have hoop dynamic IQ, which we kind of talk about some of that stuff. So I would suggest getting into something like that, like a hooper's IQ, like we do, and kind of digging deep.
Nice. So this one comes from our guy Stanley. How long does Julius Randle practice? Days, hours, etc. And if our YouTube channel has a lot of Julius Randle workouts now, so you can kind of get a behind the scenes and in-depth look at some of the stuff he's doing right now. So go check that out. And how often? I know y'all in the gym pretty frequently right now.
Well, he goes 7 a.m. He goes and lift weights, kind of does his strength and agility. Then he'll take a little bit of a rest, and then we usually go like 11:15 to 12:45. And then before the NBA came back and they decided what they were doing, he was going at night and shooting more, getting shots up. Right now, he'll probably go back at night maybe 2 or 3 times a week, just because, they're not going to play for a while. So, obviously taking care of your body is huge, but for a player that's, 8 months, 9 months out from playing another game, he's in the weight room every day at 7 a.m. He's getting his skill work in, and then, getting extra shots up. He rides his bike every single day for, 5-6 miles. So,
he definitely wants to be great. You could tell.
Yeah.
It seems like he has a game this week the way he is in the gym every time I've seen him.
Yeah, and that's kind of his mentality. So he's just trying to get better, man. And I think he's one of the guys that, really wants to be really good and make the Knicks better.
Nice. So this next question, what kind of warm-up do you recommend before playing? And I'll let you take this. It's not specific, whether that's a ball handling warm-up, how you just got loose before a game, things like that.
So I think there's two things. One is the day of the game, and one is like right before the game.
Yeah.
So the day of the game, like I would go to this gym and get up, do my form shooting, and then I'd make 100 shots. Whether it's, I think I did 25 pull-ups, 25 like 15-footers, just kind of get my feel, 25 threes off the catch, 25 threes off the dribble, because I wanted that feel. And then when I went to right before the game, so that was probably at like, let's say 3:30, if the game was at 7. Then you go eat, do all that stuff, and then before the game, I'd obviously go out, shoot a little bit more. It's dependent upon also if it's college or high school.
Right.
College is a little different, but I'm thinking this is probably high school. But then before the game, I would just be, JV would be playing, and I would be doing, just some ball handling stuff in the, in the locker room. I would do some heavy ball, kind of just to loosen up, and then regular ball to kind of get that feel back. And then, go out and warm up. But definitely I would do, I would get a mini workout in the day of the game for sure.
Yeah, and you preach heavy ball a lot, even during your pro workouts and stuff. You have them with the heavy ball early on for ball handling, which I think is something that you really preach.
Mm-hmm.
This next question, a little silly one. Where did you get that shirt? And the shirt he's mentioning is the PRADA shirt here at the workout. Is that your birthday workout?
Is that the birthday workout?
Yeah.
It is a birthday workout.
Go ahead and describe that shirt. Just describe that fit. Is your birthday fit? To me, it almost feels like you knew the camera was coming that day. So
I probably did.
So if somebody wanted that PRADA shirt, where could they pick it up at?
I got it at Gregory's, North Park Mall, Dallas.
Oh, that's a nice expensive mall there.
That's a nice little mall.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. And then the shorts are Daniel Patrick and Adidas collab, James Harden. And then the haircut is Sport Clips, baby.
Oh man.
That's not Sports Clips. That's a good try though.
No, you said it.
Mm-hmm.
How often should you be conditioning? And like I said, this is another vague one, so let's just talk about, is there high school, college, what do you think? Honestly, I just think that like for basketball players, there's a difference between being in shape and being in game shape.
Yeah. I was a big fan of get in shape in your workouts. Like, if you go hard enough in your workouts, you'll get in shape. But some players don't. Some players just go through the motions and then they'll like run 2 miles. And I always got in shape because I worked hard in my workouts. I did like ball handling routines full court, which helped my my stamina as far as that went. So I was a big fan of including skill into your strength and conditioning, or your running or trying to get in shape. So I honestly never ran.
Right.
I mean, we did in college. We did like what do we have to do? 2 miles in 11:30 or something like that, or 12 minutes, and like that was easy. Because I could push myself mentally to do that. Yeah. But I didn't do a ton of running.
I mean, honestly, like I used to run all the time, and I'd go play pickup, and I would just like, I feel like I was in the best shape ever, and like going up and down 3 or 4 times is just different than just running miles.
Right.
So I think what you said about like the ball handling and stuff like that.
Like, yeah, you're sliding your feet, you're jumping, you're doing all types of different movements, which If I'm just running,
Right.
I'm not doing.
Yeah.
You know, so playing, and then making sure your workouts are, you know, tough and get you in shape, and you'll know if you're getting in shape.
Okay, here's another one. What are the most important things that an undersized guard should be good at? I like this question.
Shoot the ball with range. If you're small, you got to have the ability to play in space, and the way you create space is by shooting with range. So you have to move back. You know, I was listening to Trae Young on Woj's podcast, and he was saying, like, he was small. We remember him back then because he would come to Dallas and do AU and practice and stuff. I mean, he was 5'9", and he just moved back. And he had an elite ability to shoot the ball from deep when he was a young kid. And I think that increases playmaking ability, because once you know, if they got to close that far, you have all that space to try to get in the lane, make decisions. So I think that's the biggest thing, is being able to shoot with range. And then understanding angles at the rim, body contact, floaters, quick shots, being able to finish off either foot, either hand. You know, you got to have unorthodox finishes. You know, it's not left foot, right hand, right foot, you know, left hand. You know, but I'd say those are the two biggest things, and then you gotta be able to guard the ball.
Oh, for sure. This kind of goes into that. This question: how do you get your shot off or perform a move to get by an aggressive defender who's guarding you tightly?
How do you get your shot off?
Basically, like, how do you?
Well, I think there's a couple ways. One, you know, if you have the ball in your hands, you know, I mean, there's a ton of ways to separate, but you got to be confident with the basketball. I think a lot of kids and players in general want to be able to separate, but they're just not comfortable with the ball. You can't separate if you're not comfortable with the ball, because then you got contact on one side and you're trying to handle the ball on another side. Separate, you know, and then you're trying to make a shot. Like, that's a very difficult thing to do. I think a lot of players don't have the ball skills, so I think the biggest thing is work on your ball skills, handle all that. Then you'll start to see yourself separate more and start to react off separations. The other thing is, you know, give it up, come off a player's body, come off, you know, a screen, you know, and you'll start to feel your defender kind of loosen up a little bit. You know, defenders don't like going through screens consistently.
Right.
So maybe give it up. And then the biggest thing I think with aggressive defenders is change of pace.
Yeah, facts.
I think being able to slow to quick, you know, go quick. You know, they try to always cut that off slow. But change of pace is huge, I think, against aggressive defenders.
How do you develop killer confidence in a game?
You don't develop it in a game.
Where do you develop killer confidence? Like, yeah.
Like, you can't just develop it in a game. Like, you develop it in practice. That's how you prepare. You can't walk in a game and say, I'm going to kill. Your preparation sets it up for you. If you walk in the game and you haven't prepared, you're not going to be confident, so you're not going to kill. If you walk in a game and you've been doing nothing but working out, you're going to walk in and be really confident. You know, so I think that's what I get that question a lot. And I think it's, you work. You don't develop, if you try to develop confidence just in a game, like, you're just never going to get there.
It's the same thing like in school. Like, you're going to go take a test. You're not just going to walk in, not study, and be like, I'm confident, I'm ready for this.
Exactly.
I think there are some of those people like that, but majority of the time you study your ass off. You know, you walk into the test feeling confident. It's the same thing on the basketball court.
Absolutely. Yep.
How do you simulate game speed when you're by yourself?
Well, I mean, game speed is game speed. You know what game speed is.
Yeah.
I think as far as, you know, if you dig deeper into it, you know, trying to create contact or certain things like that, you know, you can use cones or tennis balls. There's certain things that could try to speed your mind up. which I think is extremely important at times. I think a lot of players struggle with how to feel a game in their workouts. So, you know, I like that stuff, like the stuff Micah does as far as that goes. You know, but game speed as far as shooting, you know, 2 dribble pull-ups and floaters and, you know, throwing the ball out to yourself and sprinting like it would be in a game. I mean, that's all, you know what game speed is if you played in a game before.
This is a pretty good one. What kind of expectations should I have with my 12-year-old daughter's skill level? She has been playing now for 1 year and practices about 10 weeks per week in a gym. I find 10 hours per week in a gym.
10 hours.
I find it hard to compare to the boys her age, especially her handle. Any comments are appreciated. NYC all day.
NYC all day. I mean, 10 hours a week is a lot for a 12-year-old, I think. I think you do compare it to the boys. I don't think as far as skill goes, like you differentiate the two. I think, you know, we've had some really skilled girls come through, way more skilled than our boys. And that's because of the time they put into it. You know, so I don't know if you can, every player kind of blossoms at a different age. And it's kind of funny, like one day she might not be able to do something, and then the next day it's like, whoa, she got it. You know, but if she's in the gym and she's working and she loves it, then she'll be fine. You know, I think that's the biggest thing is the 10 hours her hours or 5 hours her hours and 5 hours your hours.
Right.
If 10 hours are her hours, she's going to get better a lot quicker because those are her hours and she wants to be better. She wants to be in the gym. If they're, you know, if they're the dad's hours or the mother's hours or the trainer's hours where she doesn't want to be there, she's not, it's like anything else. Like you were talking about the last question, like studying. Like when I worked out as hard as I could. When I studied, I didn't study as hard as I could. Yeah. I would skip, I would daydream. So I wasn't reading this information maybe like my classmate was, which is the same thing in basketball.
And we'll finish with this one. What are your craziest stories from training with players or any cool or neat stories you have?
Craziest stories. Well, I think the first one was when Julius dunked it in high school and the ball came up and hit me in the nose. And
in the stands?
No, when we were training.
Oh, okay.
When I pissed him off or something and he dunked it and the ball went so hard through the net that it came up and my face was there and it hit me and I started bleeding. You know, I mean, Julius just is a bull. When he gets pissed off, we kind of get into it a little bit, and you know, I've had probably a couple concussions from him.
What about that Amare Stoudemire one?
Yeah, Amare Stoudemire. I mean, so that was.
Talk about what happened like that weekend when who you met and saw early out. Like
Rick Ross and all them. Yeah, I think that was like as far as like being a kid. I mean, I wasn't a kid. I was 24 maybe at the time. But Amare was one of the best power forwards. He just signed with the Knicks. And I went and traveled with him for a month. And we were in LA. And we had trained that day. So I went and got something to eat. And I walked back in the house. And it's Rick Ross, Omar Epps, Amare. And then like Amare's manager like sitting down like at the table. And I was just like, I just remember hi guys. Yeah. You know, like,
yeah,
keep it moving.
You ate with them, or you went to like your little room?
I went to my room. For sure, there's no way I was eating in them. Sit down, hey guys, so what are we talking about? No, I went right to the room. Yeah. I did the whole hope everybody's great thing. You know, but I mean, tons of stories, man. I think China's still one of my, like, as much as I hate the trip and I hate being away from, you know, my family and stuff, but, you know, China, I think they show such a passion for it. You know, that's still one of my coolest places to be is China, just because they love it so much and they're so thankful. You know, and that's the difference between, you know, China or Japan or a lot of places compared to America. You know, Like kids just here are just like, yeah, whatever. And over there, they're just so thankful and grateful for everything that they get. So that's, that's a cool spot too.
Well, cool. There you have it, man. Thank y'all for submitting your questions. Submit some more next week. With our other topics, we'll make sure we answer a few questions here and there. And as always, I'm Mike Timmons. This is Tyler Relph, and this is No Rules.
Ciao, ciao.